Scrimmages are over and Texas is gearing up for game prep. Who has made the necessary strides? Which position battles are wrapping up? And what is this team's ceiling in the 2023 season? Eric Nahlin, owner of Inside Texas, is on to give us the latest scoop on where things stand with the Longhorns as the season nears. You already know Inside Texas is the #1 site to stay up to date with your favorite team. Subscribe to InsideTexas.com today. Link in the description. The Longhorns' debut is just 2 Saturdays away. Are we in position to make something happen? Without further ado, let's get into it. Good to see you, Eric, and both the scrimmages are now over, and luckily we got out of there without any major injuries. That's a huge win. But I want to focus on Quinn's progression first. What's the latest intel on his improvement? Is he getting through his reads? Is he delivering the ball on time? Is he getting to his hot receiver? Is he doing all those little quarterback things we need to see for him to move an offense up and down the field?
Absolutely on Quinn Ewers as far as rounding his game into form, going from being a talented passer to becoming a more well-rounded quarterback. That's been the name of the game this offseason. And everything that we said and hoped earlier in the offseason that we had less data on is coming to fruition as it's tested against pretty good defense. You know, day in and day out, he's the best quarterback on the roster. That's not in dispute. He's a lot more consistent with his decision-making, better before the snap with his reads, better after the snap with his reads, more accurate with the ball. Threw an absolute one of his best passes in a Texas uniform on Sunday. It was a 60-yard bomb down the sidelines to Xavier Worthy. Obviously, that's the one thing that they missed on more than anything last year. I'm not saying he's going to hit it every time, but his accuracy has definitely improved in that regard. It's not just accuracy, it's timing and knowing when to let the ball go and all that as well. So, I couldn't be happier with everything that we've heard. Last November, I had a lot of concerns about Quinn going forward, and he's answered them all extremely well. So credit to him.
He's going to be key to maximizing the offense, so that's good news. The other major key is interior offensive line, specifically the battles at the guard spots. What's the latest post-scrimmage depth chart looking like at right and left guard?
My concerns about Quinn largely resolved, at least until we see him in the game. Guard is what I'm paying attention to probably the most. And, I think everybody's anticipating seeing DJ Campbell run out with the ones against Rice, and I do think that's the case. He's running with the ones right now, maybe a little bit ahead of Cole Hudson. I don't think that job's entirely over or that competition is entirely over. But Campbell does have the inside track on it as of now. The other guard spot, it seems like Hayden Connor's got a pretty strong grip on guard, at left guard, with Neto Umeozulu right behind him. And I think Hayden's going to hold on to that. He had a really good offseason. He's leaned up a little bit. He's more flexible. He's got experience on his side. I anticipate he's going to win that job and hold on to it. I'm pretty sure he's going to hold on this whole season, but I don't know that for sure because Neto does have maybe a better talent advantage. He just moves better, but reliability is such a big part of it. I think the offensive guard is trending in the right direction, but I do think there's still going to be some lapses that time, and I do have some concerns about assignment soundness, particularly against the pass.
Yeah, defenses are going to test the guards with stunts and loops, and that's something younger players can struggle to pick up. Now, seeing where guard is at, what is the key rotation at running back? Is it Brooks at 1, Baxter at 2, with Keelan being a more all-purpose option, or how's that kind of playing out?
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks is going to be the guy with the ones running back. He's the most decisive out there. I think, his experience really shows. And then behind him, Cedric I think he's got all the talent in the world, and he is coming along. He's becoming more familiar with the run scheme. He's understanding where the lanes are going to be. He had to evolve his game quite a bit because it was pretty simple in high school. But he's really stepped up. To me, I just wrote about this morning that, 5 guys moving up the most throughout the spring or throughout the summer has been Cedric's one of them, a couple other freshmen as well. So I think he's right on time. I think Keelan's still going to get a decent amount of carries, but I think over time Cedric is going to assert himself as the number 2 back. And then Keelan's role is going to evolve a little bit more on probably third downs and maybe on sweeps and getting him out in space. But as far as, banging it between the tackles, it's going to be Brooks and then Baxter.
Rice will be important to see who has the best command of the run schemes in that room. And of course, Sark loaded up the wide receivers as well. Which names are you hearing the most consistently throughout training camp at wideout?
Yeah, for me, wide receiver is the most talented room in the whole program, at least as far as what we can expect to see on the field this season. Xavier Worthy, he's had a bit of a quiet August, I would say, and at least until this last scrimmage. But that he's got all the talent you could ask for. Sarkisian tends to put the guys that he has a lot of faith in already or knows what they are. He kind of puts them on a pitch count, and he tries to get the younger guys more involved. So I think that's really why Worthy's been a little bit more quiet. But his talent was evident. He blew right by Ryan Watts on Saturday for that long completion we told you about. AD Mitchell is probably the player most mentioned to me throughout August. No matter how many whoever we talk to, AD Mitchell is one of the first guys mentioned. It's a big matchup problem. He had I think he had a touchdown on Saturday too, and then Jordan Whittington caught another touchdown on an RPO, I believe. And so we know what these guys are. We're right behind them. Isaiah Nair. He had a big catch earlier in the week, a long bomb from Arch. So he's running well. Maybe not quite as refined route runner as Mitchell, but maybe a tick faster. So those four are going to play a whole lot. I don't know how the receptions are going to be dispersed through each of them. The addition of Mitchell and Nair is probably going to hurt Worthy and Whittington a little bit from a raw statistical standpoint, but it's also going to make their life easier to get open. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. But you got to like Isaiah Nair coming back healthy and being able to spell both either Mitchell or Worthy.
Offense definitely has the most name recognition, but I'm actually most excited for the defense this year. What's the word on pass rush? You've reported a lot of good things about Alfred Collins in camp, but how is Burke looking coming off the edge? And coaches are also finding ways for Anthony Hill to get home. So where is Texas at with generating some sacks this year?
Yeah, if I'm not hearing about A.D. Mitchell, I'm probably hearing about Alfred Collins this August. It just seems like every update we get, and Sark has mentioned him in press conferences as well. So it's not just this isn't just Kool-Aid coming from our sources. It's Sark seeing it and sharing it with us as well. So they need him as a pass rusher. That's probably they had a good run defense last year. They're going to be good and stout against the run with Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. But Collins adds a level of pass rush that nobody else has at that position. But he has been good against the run too, so I'm expecting a big year. It's so dangerous to go out on a limb on Alfred because he's kind of pulled the rug underneath us a couple times, but he's playing to his talent level right now. As far as pure pass rush goes, the best pass rusher in the entire program is Anthony Hill. They've definitely got ways to get him on the field, particularly on third and long. We're going to see them do a lot of different things with him. Ethan Burke is a solid pass rusher. Barron Sorrell's a solid pass rusher. I think Ethan Burke is coming along quite well. Sorrell is steady Eddie, as we know. But, if you're looking for the two most dynamic pass rushers, probably Alfred Collins because he has such a mismatch going up against guards, and then Anthony Hill, who can come from a number of different angles.
How's Benda looking at Will taking over for DeMarvion? He's number one right now, but is he still in that gray zone in competition with Mo Blackwell and Anthony Hill for that spot throughout the year?
I think Benda's definitely going to start, and then it's up to him whether or not he can hold on to the job. He's still competing with Maurice Blackwell. Hill, they're kind of more focused on just getting him comfortable in a more narrow role. They don't want to overload him. So right now it's between Benda and Blackwell. Though the more the season wears on, the more Hill's going to have the opportunity to learn the position. He's going to get more comfortable out on the field. So this one may not be resolved in August or September. But Benda has been pretty solid. He has overrun a few plays. He's got to slow down a little bit and stay more assignment sound. But overall, he's been steady, not spectacular, but that's fine, man. If you're not hearing about a linebacker, that can be a good thing too. He doesn't have to be a playmaker; just needs to be in the right position. So far, so good. Right now I'm just thinking he can be league average, but our sources say he can be better than league average if he limits his bust. He does have athleticism. He's also good in coverage, so we might see them get a little more exotic with him as far as pass drops than we saw with DeMarvion last year. It'll be interesting to see. They just have really good cover players. All back seven of those guys are good in their role defensively. So Benda, let's hope for league average, but it could be more than that. We'll see.
Definitely. And talking about that back seven, I'm most interested in the corner depth because we got Watts, Brooks, Muhammad, and Holmes all with ability. And I know Watts got beat deep by Worthy, but Worthy can beat every corner in the league deep, so that's not that crazy to me. But between all the guys and their skill sets, how is the starter corner rotation shaking out?
Yeah, Watts is locked in for the boundary. And then, what's interesting there is it looks like Terrence Brooks is going to be the second one, the number two corner, which would be, on the field side. But he's also, outside of Watts, he's the most prototypical to play in the boundary and be physical against the run. But if he's the second best corner, then he's going to be at field. And now you're looking to see how you're going to spell Watts. Well, fortunately, I think Manny Muhammad can play over there as well. He punches above his weight. He's physical. He's smart. One of the smartest football players on the team, without a doubt. Malik's going to play a whole lot. Gavin Holmes is going to play a whole lot. He had a very strong scrimmage on Saturday. He's the guy that, when the opposite team has a player that can run somewhat like Worthy, nobody has a player that can run like Worthy, but somebody that can run like that, you want Gavin Holmes on him because, he runs like a deer. But he doesn't quite have that physicality that Brooks or even Muhammad has. So there's going to be trade-offs with whoever who's in it. But, when teams try to spread you out, he's going to have a lot of value. Gavin Holmes is on the smaller, quicker guys. And they've got Austin Jordan who could play as well. I mean, Xavier Bryce could even play this year. They've got a lot of guys, a lot of depth. They should be fresh. They're going to be deep. It's just going to be interesting to see who plays boundary behind Watts. I tend to think it's going to be Muhammad. 2024, it's going to be obvious to me that Malik in the field and Brooks the boundary, but they're not there yet. So we'll see.
When even your depth guys have the ability to start, that's where you start leveling up, and corner seems to be at that place. And then from the coaches, how are they feeling about the team's chances to do something special this year?
I mean, the coaches are in an interesting spot because they don't want to get the team too confident, but they are telling them that they should have very high expectations. That there's a possibility to win every game. There's a possibility to make the playoffs. I mean, they want them understanding how good they can be without telling them that they are good right now. So that it's kind of a delicate dance that they're in, but there's a lot of optimism. They understand that they have a lot of depth. They've got a lot of talent, increasing talent, experiences on their side. And, I think everybody knows it's a pretty manageable schedule. Tough game going to Alabama. Obviously, K-State's going to be good. A couple other teams, Tech is going to be pretty good. But, if they play the right way, if they play up to their capability, everybody knows it can be a special season. So because of that, there's just a lot of optimism. But, they're not overconfident. They know they haven't won anything yet. They know that they had struggles. They've struggled on the road. They've struggled to close out games. But there's a lot of confidence in that experience, talent, and depth that they're heading in the right direction and that they're going to have a good year.
Man, just a couple more weeks and we get to see it on the field. Please let the wonderful viewers know where they can stay up to date with the millions of articles you guys seem to be dropping every day.
It seems like it, huh? Find us at InsideTexas.com. We're typically dropping 10 articles a day, 300 a month or so. Well worth your money. We've got an introductory price right now for $1. So, it's not a huge investment to go out there and see if being on a message board is for you. It's not for everyone, but the amount of information, if you're a Texas Longhorn fan, there's just not a better place to be than InsideTexas.com.
And that's a wrap on Eric Nahlin. Head over to Inside Texas and sign up today. Thanks for hanging out. Watch some more of my videos here. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want to support quality Texas content. As always, hook 'em.